Domestic abuse is a system of abuse, not just a single event. Most of the time, we understand domestic abuse as an overt action. Hitting, yelling, destroying property, sexual assault. But these are only the overt actions of domestic abuse that occur within a toxic system of domestic abuse. A toxic system of power and control that constantly harms the victim. Because we fail to understand the systemic nature of domestic abuse, many abusers learn to calibrate their abuse so that it falls mostly within acceptable limits, with only occasional instances of overt abuse. Every person who works with victims knows that there's a cycle of abuse. He only hits or screams occasionally, then he repents prolifically, and the victim is required to forgive. If the abuser constantly hit his wife or screamed at her continuously in public, everyone would recognize the abuse and encourage the victim to leave. By working the cycle, the abuser also works the system, as bystanders hope and pray that he's changed and encourage the victim to be forgiving and hopeful. The end result is that the abuser retains a ready victim for his ongoing behaviors with the complicity of a well-meaning but uneducated community. If we are truly on the side of victims, if we truly wish to see abuse eliminated, we have to learn to look for the signs of a toxic system. Look for isolation, controlling what she does, where she goes, who she sees. You might see emotional abuse like put-downs, name-calling, gaslighting, humiliation, and blaming. Intimidation, threats of physical actions, destroying property, harming pets, displaying weapons. Coercion and threats like suicide, CPS, threatening to report her to the church. And economic abuse like preventing her from having or keeping a job and making her ask for money. Minimizing and denying, like making light of the abuse, denying what really happened or saying she caused it, using the children to harass, and male privilege, treating her like a servant, making all the decisions, defining men's and women's roles to his advantage. All these toxic signs are part of the power and control wheel which you can find at the Domestic Abuse Intervention Project. Over the years, as I've worked with many victims of domestic abuse, I have realized that often a toxic system of domestic abuse lies within another larger toxic system, a religious system that encourages power and control to be wielded against women. Many victims I've worked with leave an abusive marriage only to find that they are still in a toxic system, their church. How do you know if your church is a toxic system in addition to your marriage? I'd use those same power and control markers to test the church. Are women encouraged to isolate themselves from the scary outside world? Are they told that it's really their fault if men sin, like you have to dress modestly so that your husband won't stumble and other men in the church won't stumble? Are women required to check with their husbands or with church officials before making decisions for themselves? Does your church make you sign a contract that says you won't leave your spouse until you've gone through their marriage counseling program? Are women shamed or prevented from working outside the home and from having their own financial sources of income? Are women told that the Bible says that they have to give their husband sex whenever they want? Are women told that they have to reconcile with an abusive husband, no matter how terrible the situation has been? If you've seen red flags like these in your marriage and in your church, I want you to know that you matter. You count. You are valuable. And you deserve to be treated with respect, love, and care. Don't settle for anything less. If you're a religious person, it may be helpful for you to remember that the Bible says that you are not a slave to sin, and that includes your husband's and your church's sins of abuse. I hope that helps you like it has helped me. Okay.